Welcome to the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1969, the premier sports show about local high school sports, featuring coaches, players, and special guests. Now, here is your host of the Saturday Sports Line, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
Roth under center, takes a snap, almost dropped it, but he keeps his composure. Now he throws over the middle. It's wide open. Jaden Jones at the 5. He's fighting his way forward, and he's going to get the touchdown. Jaden Jones from Cash Roth. And a good Saturday morning here on the Saturday Sports Line, the longest running high school sports show in Indiana. I'm Mitch Columbi. So glad to be here for you. The tradition continues as fall is officially underway. This is the first day of fall. And boy, if you love football, it's that time of year. Hey, Chris McGowan is not here today. He has had a prior engagement. Of course, we all know he teaches and coaches over at Tri-Township. He is selling Porta Pit chicken today for the Scarecrow Fest. So in his seat today, we have an old friend of WKVI's, Al Breyfogle. Good morning, Al. How are you?
Morning, Mitch. Doing good. Hey, I want to start out the morning by saying, hey, fans out there on Friday night, record your college games and get yourself out to the high school games. They've lit a fire under me about this Friday nights. Friday nights is for Friday Night Lights. It's for high school football. It's for the kids. It's to raise money for the schools. So you don't need to be going to college games on Friday nights. Friday nights, you better be in the seats at some high school locally in the Kankakee Valley.
And bring your radio.
Definitely. Yeah. I got those. Yeah. Heck, bring your phone. Yeah, check the
listen
score
on your phone. Well, we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. A big-time win last night for the Knox Redskins. They are in control of the Hoosier North Athletic Conference, 6-0. You better believe we took notes. 21-13 was the win over LaVille on the road last night. I got a text from Athletic Director Neil Minix that said it came down to literally the last play. We'll hear from head coach Russ Radtke in this hour. He's going to tell us exactly what happened. I'm not going to spoil the fun for you. We'll let Russ do that as, the Knox Redskins are just looking strong this year, Al.
I'm telling you, when Russ came in, of course, my history with Russ goes way back, and it goes back to the Griffith, when he was at Griffith and the Griffith-Hobart game, the Mud Bowl.
Yeah.
Back in the early 90s when Griffith came into Hobart and played. I went and watched that game. Stood in line for a high school football game for 4 hours to get in.
Worth it?
Oh, yeah, worth every bit. It's worth it just to go watch Russ. You don't have to watch the game. Russ will tell you I'm here for the kids and I'm coaching, but he's animated, but give me a better football coach for longevity and for winning everywhere he went, and Russ is right up there at the top.
The West Central Trojans are also undefeated as they beat South Newton at home last night, 54-6. Marc, he's on the line waiting. We'll talk to him in just a few moments. But 6-0 are the West Central Trojans. Next week is the big-time cross-county rivalry for the Tomahawk Trophy. It's on the line yet again between the Winamac Warriors and the West Central Trojans. Very excited about that game next week.
Oh, definitely. And, right now where Winamac sitting at, just a huge turning point last week against the Jays. And as a Warrior, you love when the Jays can give you something positive. They beat us, but I think they woke up, some of the ghosts a little bit. And I think the kids, started to say, hey, we can do this. 'Cause I know they're prepared. The coaches, that coaching staff down there, man, I love them. I've known them all. They're ex-Warriors. I've been around them since they played,
sure.
The Burgesses and Button and those guys and Schultz. And so, they got the staff in place. They got to get a little bit of momentum, which I think we had here. And, the poor Warriors went through like 2 rebuilding sessions in 4 years. And that affects kids. It just does. As a player, if your coach's staff is changing or if things change, it affects you. So, yeah, I think last week with the springboard, I think last night just got a little bit of faith in them that they can do what they need to do.
The North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays come up with a big-time win over South Central, 56-24. They are 4-2 on the year. The Blue Jays will talk with head coach Brett Lambert in this hour. We also see the Winamac Warriors. That was our game last night. The Culver Cavaliers and the Winamac Warriors both came in looking for their first win of the season, and the Warriors were able to do it on homecoming. 45-14 was the final. And, the Culver Cavaliers had a lot of big-time plays. We're going to hear those throughout the broadcast today. But last night was Winamac's night, Al.
Yeah. And, Culver, once again, there's some work going on there. Austin Foust coming to Culver. I mean, he'll get it done. It's hard for players, hard for fans to understand when you have a coaching change. It takes a while to get a transition, and you got to give these coaches, I always say 3 years at least, because they're starting with their freshmen, and so the freshmen are going to be under them a couple of years. So yeah, Culver's going to be okay down the road. They will be, and they have the big play capability, but the Warriors just kept the pedal to the metal.
Switching sports, we look at the Culver Lady Cavaliers volleyball team and the Knox Lady Redskins volleyball team faced off this past Thursday. It looks like the Culver Lady Cavaliers took care of business all three sets. First set went to Culver 25-22, then set 2 25-15, and set 3 25-19. A big-time win for the Culver Lady Cavaliers volleyball team. Sticking with the Culver Lady Cavaliers, their soccer team took on LaVille for a cross-county battle of their own. The Culver Lady Cavaliers continue to win 3-1 over LaVille. And, of course, Giselle Villegas had a goal in the second half. Cassidy Banks had 2. And what a fantastic season it's been for the Lady Cavs soccer team. We look around our area schools and see who is playing today. The North Judson-San Pierre Lady Blue Jays volleyball team, they will take on LaVille today, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Central. We will hear from Lindley Martin on that North Judson-San Pierre Lady Blue Jay team in the second hour. She, of course, is our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Great interview. Hope you stick around for that. The Winamac soccer invite is going on today where Winamac takes on Rochester. It just started 9 minutes ago, so it's underway right now. And then the South Central varsity cross-country team, as well as the Winamac cross-country team, travels to Culver Academy for their cross-country invite. And finally, we wanted to make sure to bring this up. She was our first Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week to start this season. Bianca Weezar is a sectional champion, and she is competing in regional today, 9:20 a.m. Eastern tee time. That's here in 10 minutes. She's at Sandy Pines, and we talked to Athletic Director of Winamac Warriors, Brian Leverns, last night. He said she's very good at Sandy Pines, so we'll keep our eye out or ear out for what happens there, but we wish Bianca Weezar good luck.
I know if I took her over there and played her, she'd beat me by probably 10 strokes. We'd be playing for the same tee, and I'd be so embarrassed, What a great athlete, great golfer, just really learned the sport and got into it deep, and she plays a lot out of Moss Creek, and so, the girl can get it done.
Well, let's talk about the West Central Trojans' big-time win last night over South Newton with head coach Marc. Good morning, Coach. Appreciate you waiting. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. We keep an eye on your scores. I get updates from Athletic Director Jeff Messer, and each week I'm getting those scores, Marc. I'm telling you, you guys are putting up the points, man.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate that we've last year that we were able to start doing some things, and we've been able to continue it this year. And the guys have been playing great, and we're just hoping we can continue to do that throughout every week.
Well, so far, what are you thinking? I mean, last year, you had such a great year. This year's it's looking even better from where I'm sitting. But obviously, you're more hands-on and you're seeing things on a day-to-day basis. I mean, is this one of the better teams you've had the pleasure of coaching?
It's a very experienced team, and that's where they're probably ahead of some of the other teams that we've had. Last year, we also had a lot of experience in it. These back-to-back classes that we've had of seniors, most of them played quite a bit or started as freshmen, and they just stuck with it. And we've had kind of that in the past. So these kids, they've been able to use that information, that knowledge they gained as freshmen and sophomores, and be able to apply it now as juniors and seniors. And they've been doing a really nice job and just put things together. And they've got some good athletes in there. They've got a good mixture of good athletes, and then they've got the linemen to go with it. And both the last two classes have had that. And we've had before, like maybe we've had one class that has a good amount of linemen, but maybe they didn't have as many of the skill guys in there, or vice versa. But the last two classes of seniors we've had, it's been a nice balance of we've had linemen in there, and we've also had the skilled guys to go with it. So just that balance is what has been great for us. And then, again, the experience they gained as freshmen and sophomores, and we took some lumps during those years. And the kids, they came back, and they kept wanting to get better every week, and that's starting to pay off for us now. And we're starting to see the result of it, which is great for the kids. And I'm very happy for them, and that they've figured out that if you stick with something, that you can turn the corner and make positives out of it. So hopefully that's something that our young guys are seeing, and we continue that as we go into the future, and continue the legacy that these guys have started here. The other positive is we've got that youth program started now, and I'm hoping those kids are seeing like what these seniors now are doing, and they want to emulate that when they get up to high school and hold themselves at the same standard that is being set right now. So, it's great things that those guys have been doing, and then I'm just very thankful that they've been able to experience it, and hopeful that we can continue our success that we've had and keep it going.
Hey, Marc, Breyfogle here. Good to talk to you this morning, buddy. And first off, congratulations on such a great season. You talked about
Thank you.
You talked about having the linemen and then the skill players. I don't think a lot of people understand at smaller schools that the mix is so important. I've seen times where people say, "Man, our 7th grade was 6-1, and our 8th grade was 8-0, and boy, I can't wait till they get to high school." And then just the chemistry doesn't match, or the mix isn't there, and sometimes people are a little bit disappointed. They're like, what happened? But it's a totally different thing when you get to high school, because now you have a 4-class team. You don't just have a 1-class team. And is that some of the struggles that you've seen being at a smaller school?
Well, yeah, definitely is that mix. It's always great to have that. And we went through a period there where we had some really small classes that went through. There was a 3-year stretch there where we had some senior classes that were between 2 to 4 kids, and 4 was the max in a 3-year stretch. So we had some small groups there. So again, those young guys, they hadn't ended up getting a lot of experience, and we were thankfully they were large classes, and they stuck together, and they had that mix, and they've been playing together like that for years. And there are teams like that as you mentioned, like in middle school, they had a lot of success. And our guys last year's seniors and our current seniors, they didn't have a whole lot of success when they were in middle school. They just stuck together, and they learned, and they kept growing and kept competing with each other, and they've finally figured out what it takes to get the wins. And so that was a great thing to see, because we went a couple of years in middle school where I think we only won a game or two. I think there was at least one year in there where we didn't win anything. So, and those are the guys now that are the ones that are leading the team and getting us to victory. So it's just great to see them just come into their own and mature, and they stuck with it, and they stuck with each other, and they've always had their teammates back. So then again, that it goes back to we had that mixture as you mentioned, that we had the skill guys, and and one of the things I think it took our guys maybe just a little bit more time to develop, and that's one of the things with middle school. You have some kids that are developing sooner than others, and I think we just had a stretch there where we had some kids that we just developed a little bit later, but they've matured, and that they've come into their own, and it's just great to see that the hard work they've done is paying off for them.
Well, that's good. I had one other question. Is it hard as a coach, and first off, those classes meshing and becoming winning teams and athletes, I know you won't take the credit, but a lot of credit goes to the coaching staff and the coaches to see who needs plugged in where and who needs developed. But I'm looking. I was going to add up your scores here, but I don't know if I can get a calculator that big. But is it hard?
He laughed.
I hope none of your kids are listening. But is it hard to get them ready? I mean, they have to be thinking, man, we're good. You know what I mean? Look at the points we're putting up. Let's just go out and have some fun. And focus is huge. Last night at the LCC game, I mean, my grandson's defensive coordinator down there, they had a fantastic first half, and they were terrible the second half. And after the game, I mean, the coaches were ripping on them about the second half. You got to play 48 minutes. And I'm looking at some of the parents, and they're going, we won 49-19, and the coach is getting on them, but they don't get it. But yeah, I just, keeping your kids focused. I mean, you got 3 games coming up that obviously are winnable, but I just sometimes the kids can get a little bit lackadaisical and think that it's too easy, and I don't think you're the type of coach that's going to let that happen.
No, and that is one of the things that happens, especially with teenagers. I mean, we are talking about 14 through 18-year-olds here, so there's a lot of distractions that go on. And so one of the things we talk about every week is not who we're playing, but it's what we're playing for.
Correct.
And it's going after those goals that we had set at the end of last year. Once we had our last meeting last year, we set goals of what do we want to accomplish for the next year. And so it's reaching those. And so there's been a couple of games this year where we've gone into it and we've felt really confident that it's going to be in our favor. And so we told the guys, like, hey, this week we aren't really paying as much attention to what is this team doing. It's what are we going to do to get better for reaching our goals. So that's one of the things we've challenged our guys to, and they've done a really nice job of keeping that in mind. And trying to work towards that. So that's one of the great things to see. Again, we've started that a little bit last year. There were some time periods where we got in some games where we felt pretty confident going into the week that we were going to have success. So it was kind of a continuation of that. And the kids, I think they understand it. I know some of them are wishing that they got to play, they get to play entire games, because right now and this is hopefully something we're not going to be able to do it all year. I know that, but we've got to get used to playing some full games here, because we've only played one game that was an entire 4 quarters, and that was the first game of the year.
Right.
And then we played about 3.5 against Culver. Other than that, it's been halftime, and we've been 7 people in and out. So. It's one of those things that, again, our guys, they understand that we've got some good things going right now. We've got some good guys in place that are doing some great things for us, led by our seniors there with our backfield with Connor and Jacob and Spencer and Austin, and then Josiah in there, and then up front with our guys of Blake and Max and Zach and Blake and Rudy, and then we had to move in on the guy Nick last night to play right tackle for us. So those guys are doing a great job, and they understand that what we're working towards is winning against conference opponents, and making sure that we try to get that back-to-back conference championship, which hasn't been done in our school history. I mean, it was a 24-year period between our last 2 conference championships. So we want to make sure that we're working towards those things and cleaning up the things that we can control. And so if that means we only get to play a half, I mean, that's unfortunate, because we want to keep playing. But I mean, at some point, we got to get the other guys experience, and when the scores are what they have been, we can get guys out, keep them healthy, and keep working towards what our goals are, and hopefully we are able to keep accomplishing those.
Well, Marc, we're really excited about the next few weeks. We're going to get a chance to get down to West Central and Francisville. We're going to see you take on the Winamac Warriors. Of course, you were able to get that Tomahawk Trophy in hand last year. We saw you holding it, and then unfortunately, because they share the trophy in other sports, Winamac was able to get that back in the winter. But now you have an opportunity to take it back yet again. What do you know about the Winamac Warriors, and what are you hopeful for next week?
Well, I mean, if you look at their schedule, they're sitting there at 1-5 right now, and people might say, well, that should be an easy game because you guys are undefeated. They only have the 1 win, but it's a rivalry game. It's one that they've dominated. Last year was the first time we'd won in 10 years, so it's one of those things we gotta be ready for everything. They're going to come out with everything that they can possibly do. They're going to throw probably as many different wrinkles that they can think of at us. So we got to make sure that we are ready, that our kids are prepared, and we have an excellent week of practice, and we're ready to go for Friday night. And there's going to be a lot of distractions for this week because it's homecoming week. There's also early dismissal on Friday. So there's a lot of things that are going on this week that we got to make sure our kids are focused in on making sure the game is mentally prepared for, physically prepared for, and that we're ready to go once the kickoff happens. So at Winamac, we know they're going to come out and give us everything they have. They're going to play hard. They're well coached, so we don't expect anything less. It's going to be a hard-hitting game, and our guys are going to have to make sure we're ready to play a four-quarter game, because that's what it's going to take to be able to try to bring the Tomahawk back.
Well, we're going to be there for you, Coach. We're going live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. I'll get with you this week, too. I'll stop by practice and chat at you then. But I appreciate your time today. It means a lot. Thanks so much, and good luck this week handling all the excitement going on there in Francisville.
All right, thank you. Have a good week.
All right, that is Marc Call. You too, Marc. That is Marc Call, head coach of the West Central Trojans here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. It's time to talk North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jay football with head coach Brett Lambert. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. So going for two as they did last week against the Blue Jays of North Judson-San Pierre. Cashroth under center, sets his man in motion, takes a snap. That's Addison Allen up the left side, and he fights his way forward, and he's going to get the 2-point conversion. Addison Allen off the handoff from Cashroth, and Cashroth like that one. He is juiced up right now.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we know that when agriculture thrives, we all do. It's the heart and grit of our agricultural communities that keep the crops coming in and the livestock cared for. Hi, I'm Isaac Blue, your ag lender at First Farmers here in Knox and North Judson. Thank you for all your hard work. And when you're ready to talk about taking your ag operation to the next level, come by for a visit. Let's harvest success together. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
It's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere.
Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox.
Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989.
Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
Cashroth under center. He's been the quarterback for the majority of this game. It's a handoff to Jaden Jones up the right side. Nice little stiff arm. He gets to the 30, to the 25, and about the 21-yard line is where he runs out of bounds. What a heck of a run by number 24 for the Winamac Warriors, Jaden Jones, the senior. Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana. It's time to talk North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jay football with head coach Brett Lambert coming off a big-time win. They are 4-2 right now, 56-24 over the South Central Satellites. It was homecoming last night, Coach. It looks like the festivities didn't get in the way of business for you.
No, we came out really rolling from the start, especially offensively. I mean, it was 49-12 at halftime. We just, offensively, I think the only time we didn't score, we had a couple penalties that knocked us back, but we were really rolling. And it was nice because I feel like we've, at times this year, we've come out a little bit flat, and I felt like that happened against, Winamac last week, partly because of us, but partly because they just came to play. But it was just a totally different game with South Central, and then they got some guys. South Central had their quarterback was very agile. I mean he was running for his life at times, but he was making plays. So I was really impressed with him. I think Hanchar, his name.
Zach Hanchar. He's an athlete.
Yeah, he definitely is. And then Hogan Kid is another
He's an
one.
athlete as well.
So we had some worries coming in the game, and because you could see it on film, but I thought we responded really well. And like I said, we got after it offensively. Josiah McDaniel was 3 of 5 passing for 117 yards and a touchdown. Josiah also had 4 carries for 118 yards and a touchdown, and then he had a kick return for a touchdown.
Wow.
So he just had a great night. Cole Wilcox had 2 catches for 70 yards, and he had 5 carries for 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 10 tackles, 2 sacks, an interception for a touchdown.
Jeez.
Did you sell any popcorn at halftime?
He might have been doing that too. But Wilcox, he's a guy. He's been battling some lower body injuries, this year, and he's starting to get a little bit healthy, and it showed last night, because he has been hobbled. So he hasn't ran nearly like I thought he would, and like he thought he would. But I think if he can, stay on this trajectory and get healthy, and that's going to be a huge thing, because that takes pressure off of Josiah, and then of course Benson. Benson had 2 more touchdowns last night running the ball, and Benson's a big boy, and there were guys bouncing off of him. It's so fun watching him run the ball.
It is though.
Yeah, it's just he's a hard runner, and again, once Wilcox it looks like he's getting healthy. He starts doing that. McDaniel, McGowan, Trey didn't even really get many touches last night because we didn't get a lot of touches, and then just the way the offense rolls, when we call it, he just didn't get the touches. But let me go to that for a little bit. Josiah, I thought, did a really good job last night putting us in the best play. And for somebody who's just a first-year quarterback, it takes a lot of time to do that, especially when you're running triple option like we do. But he was getting up to the line. He saw what he liked, and he was making calls. So I might call in an initial play, but he could put us into something different. He has that power, and I'm starting to get that confidence that he can get it done, and he showed that last night, which was awesome. That's as we move forward in these last 3 games, we have to get ourselves in that position come playoff time, or we can be a championship contender again, and I believe we are. But a lot of that comes down to Josiah being able to take control of that offense, and I really felt like that happened last night.
Well, I got a question. Chris is probably listening. Shout out to Chris McGowan. He told me I had to ask this question about Connor Benson. You say he went 8 for 8. At the time, Chris said he was 7 for 7 in the first half for extra points. I mean, he just wanted me to ask about that.
It's awesome. The first one was ugly. it went about straight up in the air and hit the crossbar, and it bounced over. It's like the opposite of what the Bears normally would do on a field goal or something. But then from that point on, it got progressively better, and we have been working on that like every coach does. But we've spent a lot of time on PATs. I about just kicked it to the curb a couple weeks ago and said we're going for 2, and then the coaches, said let's give it one more chance here, and last night was proof that I'm glad I listened to my coaches at times.
At times.
But Connor, and I've talked about Connor. I mean, Connor's a kid who started for 2 years on defense for us, and because of some injuries, really. Is able to play football, but not be a guy who can really be out there giving us full contact, and he can't. His body's not going to allow it. So for him to have a role, he wasn't a kicker to start the season. But,
right.
I remember talking to his dad on the phone once I knew that he had another problem with his shoulder, and it was a conversation like, oh, this is awful. This is before the season. Like I think it was after the scrimmage, because he'd heard it again in the scrimmage. So it was like, well, what can we do? And I said, well, let's see if we can get this guy to kick. Let's find a role for him, and maybe we get to a sectional championship game. This guy kicks the game-winning field goal. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
And he showed last night, just the type of competitor he is, that he's going to take kicking serious, and here we are. So that was really awesome to see. I mean, that was great. So Connor got that done. Noah Rackey's another guy. He had a touchdown reception. I think that might be his first career touchdown. Sure, it is
really
a varsity guy, so a 47-yard touchdown.
He's juiced up.
Yeah. So yeah, he's
feeling good this
morning. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. So yeah, a lot of great things happened defensively. We did a really good job, and it wasn't easy defensively because you can't simulate South Central just spreading it out and throwing the ball over the place, and the quarterback being able to move like he does.
Yeah.
So they were able to make some plays on us, but that gives us now something to work on and see.
Yep.
Now when we see a mobile quarterback like what Triton has and Shively, and just a good team, now we're more prepared and have something to kind of work towards and work for and also correct. You got a lot of things to correct.
Brett, looking at your schedule here, you have the 2 losses, 8 total points, and the way playoffs are now, everybody gets in it. Back when I played, and no, I didn't wear a leather helmet, and I did have a face mask. It was fiberglass or something, but I had a face mask.
Was it just the 1 bar?
Well, yeah, I didn't play quarterback, obviously, but I did kick. I got a little bit of the kicking thing when you were talking about it, because kickers they're mental. Kicking is 75% mental and 25% physical.
Well, and Connor's a valedictorian type kid, so he's got that
really?
mental part too.
Right,
yes.
Gotcha. I lacked slightly in that area, but anyhow, I hate to say that you can win, you can learn more from losses than you can wins, but I'm sure those 2 losses. As a coaching staff, you learned a lot about your team. The team learned a lot about themselves, and that you use that for a springboard to make improvements. Because obviously, your last 3 games are the biggest 3 games on your schedule. So sometimes you'll hear coaches say a loss doesn't hurt as much in the regular season as it did. My junior year and senior year at Hobart, we went 9-1. We lost the first game to Maryville both years, won 9 in a row, and that was the start of playoffs. My junior year and didn't make the playoffs. So now you have the ability to take a loss here and there, and it's not as crucial to you. And then, in the same sense, last week in their loss, I think Winamac really turned a corner. And I want to thank the Blue Jay Nation for helping us out there. And I know you were over there on the sidelines.
We do what we can do.
Yeah, with Winamac. Yeah, I know.
As long as it's a win.
I've been around here long enough, no better than that. Oh, and a little known fact, I almost bought a house in Dietrich Subdivision in '88. I was like a day from being a Blue Jay.
Oh, my God.
And I found a different house in Winamac. So anyhow.
Things could have been so much better for you.
Oh, brother.
I'm sorry about that.
No, I know
you're not. No, you're not.
I can take it. I can give it, and I can take it. I love the Blue Jay Warrior competition. So anyhow, I just think from those 2 losses, I think you guys probably learned a few things about yourselves that is going to help springboard these last 3 games.
Well, and yes, and I feel like we were, and coaches as well. And that's a bad thing to say, but I feel like we were kind of cruising off the last 2 seasons. And we didn't realize all the things we weren't doing correctly until we started seeing it get exposed a little bit against CMA and against Knox. And then it's like, oh, okay. So we really, Winamac week, even though it might not have shown as much in that game, I really felt like we got better, and we got a lot better this past week. Practice has just been great the last 2 weeks. And just the teaching has been there more. And not only that, but the listening has been there more. And I know these kids, they're hungry to, make their own mark and not have it be, it was Cheyenne Allen or Quentin Frazier or, all those guys, Logan Racky, those guys who did it in the past few years. They want to do it their way, and they want to be the guys who are the leaders. So, we got these, next 3 weeks to get ready for that playoff run, and hopefully it's a playoff run. Hopefully it's not just one game. Hopefully it's 3, 4, 5, 6 games. I mean, that's what you're ultimately going for. And I really feel like, these guys are starting to get locked in. And part of my pregame speech last night was just, hey, 3 of our next 4 games are sectional opponents. And maybe the next, the 3 with us, 3 of the top 4 sectional teams. So let's let these guys know that the Blue Jays are still playing football over here. And we're not panicking. And, we lost a couple games, but, we're not giving this sectional up just yet.
Well, I got to tell you, your last loss of the season, the last 2 seasons, I was actually at the game, so maybe I'll stay away this year because I was actually cheering for you. Tough opponents and tough losses after great seasons, but once again, a learning experience.
Absolutely, and I mean, I feel like we're moving in the right direction. The kids just need to, keep coming to practice, getting it done, and just keeping that mental edge to you. And I really felt like we came out with a little bit of an edge last night, and it was just awesome to see. So yeah, it's been a different year, from last year, but I think we can move in that same direction here as we progress through.
Two-part question. First part, how's the health of the ball club? Second part, what do you know about Triton?
After last night's game, I feel like we're as healthy as you can be this time of year. There's always bumps and bruises, so I think we're doing all right in that department. Triton's a tough football squad. We're going over there. I don't know if it's like homecoming or senior night or anything over there. I don't know, but they have some good players. They got some speed. Just for me, being a track coach, I've seen some of their guys. So I look on their roster and I'm like, okay, I saw that guy in the 100. Oh yeah, that guy was in the 100 as well. So they got some speed. And that's not even counting Shively, who I know could run 100 if he wanted to. So yeah, they got some definite talent over there. I think they're well coached. So that should be a really good football game. So yeah, I'm excited about it. And let me get a plug in here, too.
Yeah, please.
So we have a hog roast today. So I know a lot of people like to eat. I think everybody likes to eat. So we got some food over there on Highway 10 in front of the elementary school there in North Judson from noon to, maybe 3-ish. And then, again, that's just a way for, our football program to, raise some funds because there's so much money that goes through a football program. We're trying to get the best equipment we can and, just keep the kids safe. And so we're, just trying to, progress and get good equipment for the kids. So if anybody, wants to get a good meal today, again, there's a hog roast there at noon. I think it's, $12, $13.
Who did the hog?
Some local dads and Barry Matzat's one of the guys. So
nice.
Barry's the guy who locally, does that stuff, does a really good job. But a lot of those dads are jumping in there and doing it. So this is more the dads, the players that are putting this together. So.
Burgess probably has some old shoulder pads laying in the locker room down there at Winamac if you'd like to recondition them.
Well, we have some good equipment, but we don't need the leftovers. So.
Coach, I appreciate you coming in. Big time win for you. Good luck next week against Triton. We'll be waiting to talk to you next Saturday morning about a big time Blue Jay win.
All right, thank you, guys.
Good luck, Brett.
All right, that's head coach Brett Lambert of the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays coming off a big-time win last night over the South Central Satellites, 56-24. We're going to take a break and come back. It's time to talk about those Knox Redskins. Big-time win. Russ Radtke's coming in and already giving out Breyfogle some problems. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. So here's a 3rd and 4 for the Warriors. Trying to get the first down and move the chains. It's Cash Roth under center. Talon Garner in the backfield all alone. Takes the snap. Rolls out to his left. He's looking to throw. He's still on his feet. Now he's going to tuck and run, and he's knocked out of bounds immediately by Jack Rogers. A big-time hit. And Jack just gives a look over to the Winamac Warriors sideline like, I'm here, boys, and I'm going to be here all night long, baby. Under center, Cash Roth takes the snap, hands off to Minix Buzinski, who works his way forward and gets the touchdown. It's a Winamac Warrior touchdown, 24-0, as they lead here in the second quarter. Lady beside me. So 1st and 10 for the Warriors. Cash Roth has been the quarterback tonight. He's going to take this under center. Oh, fumble on the play. Picked up by Ethan Binion. Now he retreats back to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Culver. And that's how fast things can change. The Cavs put 6 more points on the board. A handoff gets fumbled, and Ethan Binion takes it to the house. And I'm not missing a thing. Watching the full moon crossing.
It's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere.
Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox.
Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989.
Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
Real magic is everywhere. It's in your mom's cooking, in 4-hour dinners with friends, in that first bite of something new, and in the fizz of a Coca-Cola. Now with so many options for less than $5, the Coca-Cola Value Collection will help you make the most out of every magic moment for so much less. Taste the magic for less with Coca-Cola.
Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
Here's a handoff to Jack Rogers up the left side. He's breaking a tackle, crosses the 40, now to the 35 to the 30, still on his feet, and he's going to be finally brought down around the 15, 16-yard line. That's another huge run for Jack Rogers and the Culver Cavaliers, Chris. Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana. Mitch Columbia along with guest co-host Al Breyfogle this morning. We're talking about the Knox Redskins with head coach Russ Radtke. Boy, he made you get up and move out of your chair.
I'm not going to argue with the guy. I mean, geez Whiz. I have no varsity victories in my coaching career. I got middle school victories. So, yeah, I'll give him the chair. I'll stand. I'll clap my feet or whatever.
A creature of habit.
Yes.
Russ Radtke, how are you this morning, Coach?
We're doing pretty good. I think that you get this point of the season, you just try to make sure things are happening all the time the right way. And so you want to make sure you're on the same toilet all the time, and you want to make sure that you're on the right chair all the time.
One of my best friends, he was the power forward on our team. He had the same pregame meal. It was a banana and a ham and cheese sandwich before every game. He never strayed away from that. That was his thing.
Did he peel it?
Oh, he peeled the banana.
Okay, all right. All right.
Well, Coach, I got to ask, Athletic Director Neil Minix told me last night the ending was pretty crazy, and he said it actually came down to the last play. Explain how the ending of last night's game in LaVille happened.
Well, traditionally it's a battle between both teams. There's no doubt. It's a fight, and we were always ahead or tied, and we always like to try to put the pressure on by getting the 2-point conversions and so forth. And we were trying to get down to finish the game off with a controlled offensive play sequence that we scored a touchdown. Got to call it back. It's holding.
This is towards the end.
Oh, yeah. And then we got a first down by the 30-yard line. There's 20, 30-yard line. Got called for holding again. So we were in some serious time limit of trying to finish it off. And the thing is, their quarterback is fantastic. I mean, he's a man that can throw it and put the ball where he wants to. He was 15 for 28. And that's not the type of game LaVille usually is. And he's graduating, thank God. And he definitely, we want them to have the ball back again now with about 2-some minutes to go. And they drove and consistently nickel-dimed us and whatever. And it got down to a situation at the end where about 3 seconds to go, we called a timeout. And the timeout was to try to adjust some defense, to not let this quarterback put the ball where it is. And for the first time all night, we blitzed and we got him. Put him down.
And that's how the game ended.
That game ended. So, we call for him, we ask for him, but, I got to give it to our defensive coaches, Julio Soneros and Ryan Marsh, and myself working with them, giving them the green light that we had to put that on. And 24, Logan came around the corner before the quarterback had a chance to get it off.
Logan Taylor.
He's down. Yeah.
Logan Taylor with the...
Yeah. So that's the key right there. If you could call for him and ask for him to do things at the right time, it's a fantastic effort. And, overall, game-wise and so forth, the offense was clicking. The specialty team's fantastic. Bo Radtke sets up our specialty teams completely. And early in the game, we had blocked a punt and had the ball down by the 15, 10-yard line or whatever, and we fumbled into the end zone. So those type of things create situations where we've been able to move the ball, get things going, control it, and then we don't get that situation. You know, they got an all-state kicker. We blocked a field goal.
Oh.
So we blocked a field goal when they were trying to go up 3-0. And then we took that ball and drove it down and scored.
That's kind of what you've been talking about to me the last 2 years is it's special teams.
That's why they're called special. And we spend
seriously.
so much time on them. And we give Bo that responsibility to set up all those offenses and defenses everybody else is working on. He's setting on specialty teams. And we had another blocked situation, but they said we landed on the holder. So they got to try it again, and they made that one.
Jeez.
So, you know, there's little things here and there. You got to play the game, be aggressive all the time. And, you know, overall, the time came down to the situation where, you know, they put it in the end zone all the time. Well, Jake kicked off and put one in the end zone, too. So it's hard to drive 80 yards in high school.
Oh, for sure.
I've tried to ask for years. I don't understand why we can't run it out of the end zone. You could run it out of the end zone when you intercept a pass, and the records are like 109-yard pass, interception, return for a touchdown. So why can't we return a kickoff out of the end zone? If you give that other team that ability, that's tough. 80 yards, I don't care how good you are, is a long drive to get things accomplished. And they've been able to do a good job with it and put us deep. And every time they kicked off, they put it in the end zone.
You know, you were talking about setting up situations and coaching and stuff. I know the hardest transition for my grandson, he's at LCC defensive coordinator, was the transition from player to coach. You can set everything up. You can put the plan in motion. You can practice it. You can run it. But when it comes down to in the game time, it's execution on the players.
Well, not only execution, they came out with new formations last night.
Oh,
that you hadn't seen on film.
Oh, yeah, and we have to readjust and find people at the right time to set ourselves up, and especially with a defense. If you would come out with only 10 guys on offense, we would not know how to defend you.
Everybody has something to do.
And their assignment, where's
the 11th? Where's my guy?
Yeah, and you could really mess us up, which is legal.
You can put
do that.
10 out there.
You can play less. You can play with.
You can't have too many, but you can have.
That's like.
I guess you could have 6.
Yeah.
You could have 6 if you wanted to. You could have to have 5 down linemen with numbers and a quarterback.
That's like Hoosiers. My team's out there.
My team's on the floor, on the field.
But that's how, you know, like I said, it's a game of chess. And when we put our people there and pawn moves and how the bishop's there, all those things, it's just really tough to think of how much work is put in out there with those defensive players.
Well, looking at your schedule, Russ, I mean, you've had some tough games. You got a couple tough games coming up here to end the season. Of course, Pioneers seems to be back on track a little bit with their program, and Triton is tough. So, you know, what do you look for in the next couple games? Things to work on as you move into the playoff season. Is there things that you still feel like you need to work on, or you need to fine tune a little bit to get into the playoffs?
Well, just making sure that what I was really impressed on, you know. We had 11 penalties last night and touchdowns called back. You could become frustrated and lose psychological control, but no coaches are after players, but no players are after players or asking why did you have to hold when we're already 15 yards down the field or whatever, okay?
Right.
Yeah, come back, clean it up, and get after it. No player is ever after another player for something that they may have held on defense or whatever he had to do at that time. So that was the big thing I think we need to keep control of, is that there's going to be some there's always a week, and this is the week that I'm really serious, that is the scariest one on your schedule, that there's going to be a lot of upsets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be in this week right here. And if teams don't settle down and figure out what they got to get done, the things could really be a serious thing. So we're going to work real hard again on our special teams, controlled, making sure our offense eliminates the holds if they were there, realizing that blocking is very important, that if you get lazy out there. But you think if a team throws the ball 28 times, they'd be called for offensive holding somewhere.
You sure would think so.
Especially when we're going in. But they didn't. But maybe they didn't either, okay? Mm-hmm. So we have to really work on those type of things. And I think that overall the team's excited. We're in a great opportunity to finish out this conference that we're in right now and play for this championship. And we'll give it everything we can to try to get it done. But like you're saying, there's some, we got to go to Pioneer. We got Triton coming up. So we got 2 opponents. And I think next Sunday's a draw already. Almost sure it is.
Yeah, it is. There's 2 weeks left when they do the draw. So, yeah, that would be next week.
Yeah, next Sunday.
Gosh.
Next Sunday. So we're already here.
How are we here?
I don't know. I always keep looking up every morning, and that sun comes up, and I think, is it coming up faster
today than it did yesterday?
Did the speed of the Earth's rotation go faster than what it
makes you
a million
wonder.
years ago? I don't know. But we're in a complete follow-up, making sure things are done right the right way.
And then real quick, I wanted to bring up, you guys are obviously in control of the Hoosier North Athletic Conference. You brought the traveling trophy with you back on the bus. What was that like last night, knowing now that you're in charge of this conference?
It's got a pig on it.
You sure not a hog?
You're mad with what it is.
Take it over to Judson and match it up with their hog roast. See what you get.
I don't know. But anyway.
So you don't like it's aesthetic.
LaVille's had it for a long time.
Sure.
But
it's just not the most aesthetically pleasing trophy, is what you're saying.
It was exciting to have last night.
But it's exciting to have.
The kids were controlling of it, but it's a traveling trophy throughout the conference, and LaVille's had it for a long time. We've been on there before, and we're going to definitely give us our best shot to try to keep that going that way in a perspective that game by game, like you said, Coach, we got to really work on trying to make sure we are not our own worst enemies.
Yep.
Because we can't fumble that ball into that end zone. When we had a chance, take the 1 or 2 yards and go down at the 1 or 2. But watching on film, it was a great hit by the defensive secondary back that came in and jostled the ball loose. I'm just glad that our secondary was able to pick 2 passes off, too. They did a good job out there. You putting the ball up, like I said, 28 times, and 2 of them were interceptions, and 1 was real important at the end of the game. So overall, it's a great team effort right now, and you don't believe how much. Again, those specialty teams of ours are the youth, the future,
right?
The kids that come in to give the break for that other group, and if they let down after they've worked so hard, it would be not a catastrophe, but it would be very serious. So we really look for those kids to keep thinking of how important it is someday when they're going to be the varsity seniors and juniors, and why they're out there doing this technique and so forth to get it done.
Yep.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in. Good luck this coming week. Like you said, it's a very important week. You're taking on the Pioneer Panthers. We wish you well and hope we're talking about a big-time Knox Redskin win next Saturday.
Well, it's important. We had a great crowd there last night. It was their homecoming, and we had a great crowd that came in up there last night, and everybody enjoyed it. And I saw some other coaches and other people that I've known from before that came all the way up from Peru and Kokomo. So there's people following us. Let's just get down to Pioneer. Let's get down to Pioneer and make sure we're there in that crowd element, because Knox, if I believe right, has never beaten Pioneer at Pioneer.
And you're probably not the only team that can say that.
Right. So
this is an opportunity.
It's a good thing to play, and even though we're going to that conference, Pioneer is still going to be on our schedule, and they create great football. So we'll look forward to it.
Well, Coach, thanks for coming in. You enjoy your week.
All right, appreciate it.
That's head coach Russ Radtke of the Knox Redskins here on the Saturday Sports Line. The Redskins are 6-0 this morning. Big time win for them over conference foe LaVille. Huge win. We're going to take a break and come back. Time to talk about the Winamac Warriors' big-time win with head coach Josh Burgess. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Here we go. From shotgun, Jonas McEwen, 4th and 3. Takes the snap, hands off to Jack Rogers. They're depending on him. He gets the first down and more. Crosses the 45, and he's brought down at the 39-yard line. Big-time run for Jack Rogers.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
It's time for more Kankakee Valley area sports talk worldwide on K99.3 FM and WKVI.com.
Well, Cash Roth, very confident right now in the QB position, under center. Takes the snap, hands off to, this is Jaden Jones up the right side. I don't know how he got the ball. Now he crosses the 5, cuts back over, and he's going to get the touchdown. It's a Winamac Warrior touchdown. Jaden Jones. Well, I guess the radio wanted to play a song. They didn't want to hear the play.
Who's running this show?
I don't know,
man. You told me you knew what you were doing.
The software. Hey, it's computers. What am I going to do?
There you go.
Well, we got it paused, so we're going to talk with head coach Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors. You just heard the call. That was Winamac's second touchdown by Jaden Jones. And, the Winamac Warriors, they were really tested up to this point. And then last week, they just really did such a good job against the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays. Coach, you got to be happy with last night's win on homecoming.
Yeah, just thrilled for the kids and the effort that we had last night. We talk about every week. Our kids work hard, and it's good to see that hard work pay off. So just really happy for them, really excited for what they did last night.
Well, I got to hear what Al's got to ask you. Al, I know you're a big-time Winamac Warrior guy. I'm gonna give you the floor. Let's let you ask some questions to head coach Burgess.
My first question is going to be, a coach's favorite week is homecoming week, right, Josh? I mean, I know you were into it, and you probably had your own float and all this kind of stuff. So
did you?
I know him better than that. Yeah. So anyhow, my main concern this week was after the really big mental, I think, physical and emotional turnaround against Judson, I was just afraid that homecoming week would be a distraction. And I know it's because the kids still got to come to practice, but it's their homecoming. They're high school kids. They're excited about it, and they want to be the king, and they want the queen to be their girlfriend, and all that kind of stuff. So, but I also know this coaching staff well enough to know that preparation was still up front and number one on your mind. Did the kids respond good throughout the week and keep their mind on football?
Yeah, I thought we had a pretty good week of practice. Again, I told the kids throughout the week that, hey, enjoy that stuff. You're high school kids, and you should enjoy it. But like you said, too, that's not my favorite week of the year, just for the distract, not for, hey, sure, the kids need to participate in that stuff, and that's good for them. But you always worry just a little bit about some of the outside distractions that are going on. But I thought our kids handled it well, and got off to a good start last night, which obviously showed that they handled it well too. So, give credit to the kids as far as making sure to stay mentally prepared. You mentioned last week, I think that was a little bit of a turning point, but we talked last week too. Our kids were still disappointed. We didn't get it done. We did some good things, and I think mentally we turned a corner. But we talked all week about the fact that we needed to get it done, and Culver was in the same boat that we were. They're looking for their first win, and I thought, credit to Coach Foust and his staff. Their kids came out and played hard. They've got some nice pieces over there. I thought, the key second half especially, I felt that we wore them down a little bit, and that kind of flipped from last week where I thought Judson, especially in the fourth quarter, kind of wore us down a little bit. So, those are the things that I was excited to see, and just the play of our kids. Offensively, we got some things going. Made the switch at quarterback. Just felt like we needed to do that, and our offensive struggles were definitely not on one kid.
Right.
But, I thought Cash gave us a little bit of a jolt last night, ran the offense well. I was a little worried about him coming in because he hadn't played quarterback all year. So, I mean, you don't know for sure as far as how he's going to respond and what he's going to do. But obviously he played really well. And I thought offensively we got a lot of people involved, which was key. Jaden Jones had a big game with 3 touchdowns, obviously. Yeah. But, Maddox Buzinski had a touchdown run and ran the ball hard last night. Addison Allen got in the end zone. Talon Garner, even Willis Dennis had a couple carries and get in the end zone. Cash had a 2-point conversion, too. So we spread it around and got some guys involved, and that's key for us.
The move to Cash, of course, I don't go to your games, obviously, but people can't see I have a Warrior shirt and an LCC hat, so I got them covered. But the move, have you contemplated that move? I heard it off and on earlier in the season that maybe there might be some changes coming up. And I tell people, once your record gets to a certain point, and this is my feeling on it, and you can agree or not, but if you have like a senior that's a decent athlete, and you have a freshman or sophomore that's a decent athlete too, about the same ability or whatever, you got to start looking to the future as a coach. I mean, you got to start saying, hey, maybe we can plug this kid in here and get him some experience, and it might help the team. And Cash is obviously an athlete. I've watched him play baseball, and obviously he knows sports. So did he transition into that better than what you anticipated, or do you think he did the job that you thought he would do?
Yeah, I wasn't too worried about him. You just don't know until you do it. And again, our offensive struggles weren't on just one kid.
Correct.
But we just thought at this point of the season we needed to do something just to give us a little bit of jolt offensively. Mm-hmm. And I'll give credit up front too. I thought our linemen were starting to figure some things out, and we're starting to get a little healthy. We got Cody Wheeler back last night at center. That allowed us to move Aiden Jimenez out to a tackle.
Right.
You've got Max Keller and Charlie Dysinger at guards, and then Wyatt Wheeler too. And then Max Gerhardt stepped in and played some tight end for us,
and he did well. It didn't phase him.
Did well. Did some good things in the blocking game, and I thought our edge guys blocked a little bit better too to get some of our stuff out on the perimeter. So again, just thrilled with the effort. We've got some things we still need to work on, obviously, and we're going to continue to work on those to get better. But I just thought total team effort. I mentioned our defense again. I think defensively we're playing pretty well. Gave up a couple big plays. I wasn't really particularly pleased with that 4-minute stretch in the second quarter, where I thought we kind of let down a little bit.
They got 2 quick ones.
Yeah, and they made plays. I'm not discrediting Culver. Those kids made plays, and those kids practice and they work hard all week, so they executed on those plays. But I thought second half especially, our defense was really physical. Max Keller had a nice game on our defensive line for us. Tucker Fox was everywhere. We've gotten Tuck back a couple weeks ago, and he's a difference maker for us defensively. He had a safety last night. He had a sack. Mm-hmm. We got a turnover. Ethan Burgess had a pick in the first half that stopped the drive. And then Addison Allen, I thought, was really physical in the secondary on the back end. So, those kids kind of led our defense, but it was a total team defensive effort, total offensive effort, and total effort by our special teams.
Well, and one thing I also wanted to mention was I definitely know why when you send the email, potential starters. I get that now. But the second question I had was off of that Max Gerhardt. I saw him. He was just as intently looking to the sidelines, pumping his teammates up. I think Cash Roth, I said this on the air last night to Chris. I said, sometimes when you get something taken away from you and you have a chance to come back, you want to make sure and prove yourself. And I think that's what Cash Roth did last night. He looked like he'd been taking snaps all season long.
Yeah, Cash is a competitor. Our kids are great kids. They're going to play wherever we ask him to. You talk about Max. Max was, ultimate team player. He's going to go down and play some tight end for us and get involved in special teams. We need to move kids around. We can move kids around. We don't have to worry about,
you have athletes.
Kids, being a little disappointed or pouting a little bit. Our kids don't do that.
That's awesome.
So that's a credit to them and a credit to their character and what we can do with them. So, just moving forward, I think we've got a lot of positives to build on. We still have a lot of things to clean up, obviously, as we get a little bit closer to tournament time, but I kind of like where we're at right now.
Thursday, did the kids get a history lesson from a particular past coach?
Yeah, it's always good for Tim to stop by. I'd like him to stop by a little bit more, but he's busy with things going on. But
he's cutting grass at the golf course. Yeah, that's all he's doing.
It's always good to see him, and he came in and talked to the kids a little bit. I kind of put him on the spot because I don't think he expected to do that.
No, he didn't.
But, it's always good to see him and just get him involved with all the stuff he's done for our program and what he means to Winamac and to the program. It's great to have him come in and talk to the kids a little bit. So hopefully we'll see him around a little bit more here at the end of the season too.
Good deal.
You're moving forward, and the Tomahawk Trophy's on the line. We talked with Marc Call a little bit earlier in the top of this hour, or last hour, I should say. We're already in hour 2. But what do you know about West Central, and what are you hopeful for from your Winamac Warriors?
They're having a nice season. They've got nice skill kids. They've got experience everywhere. They're putting up a ton of points, and they're not giving up a lot of points either. So I've watched a little bit of film. We'll get into it when I get out of here. Just check that out. But they're doing a nice job over there, and we're going to have to be ready in all three phases of the game. It's a big game for their kids, for our kids. Obviously we want to be fast and physical, but we have to make sure that we're mentally ready to go and be able to keep our emotions in check. Yeah. We want to play hard whistle to whistle, but sometimes those rivalry games, there's extra emotion that goes in there. So we're going to have to be prepared, and we'll get a game plan around and we'll get ready. And we talk about it all the time. Just our consistency needs to continue to get better. I thought we got closer to 48 minutes last night, but we had a 4-minute lapse in that second quarter. So that's something we have to improve on to finish out a half. And then just to the consistency with our preparation and our effort in practice, we're still working to get that locked down too. But it's a big opportunity for us, and we'll be ready for it.
You mentioned that 4-minute letdown. I was talking earlier about coaching and the response to things, because the parents would be thinking, man, we won the game. Why are they talking about a negative? But you got to play 48 minutes. Gavin, LCC ran the same thing last night. They won 49-19, and after the game in the end zone, the coach was like, guys, we slacked off. We didn't keep the pedal to the metal. You got to play, because, like you said, you can see the other team scoring 2 quick touchdowns in a heartbeat. Run a kickoff back maybe, and then get an interception or a pick six or something. So, yeah, you got to play that 48 minutes. But, like you said earlier, they're high school kids. They're 14, 15, 16 years old, so things tend to change over the course of the game. But like I say, knowing the staff you got down there, Josh, I'm excited about you guys being back. And, Winamac football's been through 2 transitions, in the last 5 years here, and it's hard. And some things change. You change your school colors, or you change which end zone you're in or whatever. But the thing you got to do is you got to get that program back where it is. And I think you guys are on the right track. I mean, for years it's been Winamac's a storied program in small schools. So I think you got the people in place. I think I know you know what you're doing, and I know that you've been through the trenches and been through the ups and the downs. So I see big things for Winamac in the future with you guys there.
Yeah, we're excited. And like I said, give all credit to the kids. Hey, we'll put them in positions, but the kids ultimately have to make the plays and do the job. And we got that done last night, and we just need to continue moving forward. And big game, but every week is a big week for us as far as getting better and preparing for the tournament. So that's kind of how we approach it down there, and we'll continue to approach it that way.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in. Big time win last night. We're going to be there for you again this coming Friday in Francisville. Good luck against the Trojans for the Tomahawk Trophy.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. That's head coach Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. Don't go anywhere. More sports talk coming your way. We're going to talk, we're going straight to the Athlete of the Week. We've got our Athlete of the Week interview, and then we're going to have a chat with head coach Lexi Minix of the Oregon Davis volleyball team. That's in this hour. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. McEwen from shotgun takes the snap, rolls out to his left, fires deep over to the left side, and it's going to be intercepted by a Warrior. He brings it back to the 40, now to the 45, and he's tackled around the 49, 50-yard line. I believe that's number 21, Ethan Burgess. So a big-time interception for Ethan Burgess as the Warriors will take back over in really good field position. Here's a handoff for the 2-point conversion. Jaden Jones, he almost was brought down, but kept fighting his way forward, and he gets the 2-point conversion.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
It's time now for Hour 2 of the Saturday Sports Line with your host, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
We are back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the longest running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line. It's time to talk about our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Lindley Martin from North Judson-San Pierre, the senior star on the volleyball team, has had quite the season. She achieved 1,000 career kills, 1,000 career digs, and 1,000 career serves received. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Here's my sit-down interview with senior Lady Blue Jay, Lindley Martin. All right, here we are. I'm with Lindley Martin, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. First off, congratulations. So happy we were able to set this interview up. Let's talk about volleyball. What is it about this sport, Lindley, that you really love?
I absolutely love how competitive volleyball is. It's really become my safe place, and I've grown to love the sport.
Well, let's talk about this team a little bit. I'm sure that you have several. I'm guessing you're pretty close friends with a lot of these teammates. Why don't you just go down the list? Tell us everyone on this team that you really appreciate.
Well, mostly I appreciate my cousin Reese. She's our libero. She's played travel volleyball for 5 years with me, and it's really good that we can rely on her to get all of the good digs. And then Grace Craig, she's also a sophomore, and she just has really shown us a lot of improvement from last year, and the amount of kills that she's gotten this year is impressive.
Talk about, for those that may not know, what is a libero?
So a libero is a defensive specialist who only plays back row, and they usually go in for the two middles, and they're really the queen of the back row and control the back row.
You had 1,000 career digs, 1,000 career serve receives, and 1,000 career kills. I mean, that's pretty impressive. What would you say what do you bring to the table for this team?
I really think that I'm a big leader on this team. I've been the captain for the past 2 years, and I've started varsity since I was a freshman. So I do have experience. I've played travel volleyball for 10 years, and I think that my teammates can really rely on me, especially when we're down, to bring the team up, and yeah.
So you say you play travel volleyball. Is this something that you've just loved since you were a little kid?
Yes. So I actually grew up watching Lauren Cox, Mackenzie Harper, and Macy Reinbold play. And the moment I started watching them, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And so I started playing at Dunes Volleyball Club and worked my way through Boiler Juniors, and now I'm currently at Kealoha Volleyball Club.
Well, let's talk about the coaching staff. What do you appreciate from Coach Radtke, and what does she bring to the table?
I really like how much she loves our team and how much she cares about what we feel like. She really cares about our input and how we feel, not only on the physical side, but the mental side. And overall, she really just wants the best for our team, and yeah.
What are the overall goals for this team? What has the coaching staff said is the goal for this team this year?
So our main goal right now is to win sectionals. The past year, we fell short to South Central, and we've played them twice this year, falling short to them again, but each match was really tough. So we're really hoping to get a sectional championship this year and also to get over 20 wins.
So now that we know the coach's goals for this team, what are your goals for this team as the captain? What are your goals for this team?
I think my goals for the team are the same as the coaches. I really would love to have another sectional championship since this is my last sport that I'm going to be playing in high school. I think that is my main goal, and also for our team to reach goals like I've had.
When you look back at the 4 years, of course, you've still got time here for this volleyball season, but as you look back at the 4 years, what are some of the memories that stick out to you?
Definitely playing with my sister for 2 years and my cousins for this year's going to be the first year, and I played with my cousin Reese for 4 years. I've made so many memories with them, and just being around them has made it a lot of fun.
What are your parents' names?
My parents are Kirsten and Andrew Martin. I just would love to say thank you to them. They've driven me to practice for the past 10 years, as long as I can remember, late nights. They've sacrificed so much for me, and I appreciate it a lot.
What does it mean to Lindley Martin to be a North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jay?
It means being a leader. It means always thinking about other people and sometimes yourself. I really love being a Blue Jay, and I love the environment that everybody has supported me with.
So as the captain of this team here in your senior year, what would be your message to Blue Jay Nation?
My message would be to come out and support us. Our team loves everybody's support, and it really helps us win games.
Well, Lindley, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on being named our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. We'll keep our eye on this team, and good luck, and go get a sectional championship.
Thank you.
Big time thank you to Lindley for her time. Also, shout out to Athletic Director Michael Sharkozy for helping me set that interview up. As we're going to take a break and come back, we're going to talk volleyball on the north side of Stark County. Yeah, the Oregon Davis Lady Cats head coach, Lexi Minix. She's in the lobby waiting. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Roth sets his man in motion, takes the snap, rolls out to his left. He's going to have to keep it himself. Fights his way forward, and he's going to get the 2-point conversion. Cash Roth for another 2-point conversion to add to the board. It's 26-0.
To show me.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort. You're listening to Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, Mitch Columbi along with guest co-host Al Breyfogle this morning. We have another guest in the house, head coach of the Oregon Davis Lady Cats volleyball team, Lexi Minix. First time I've had a chance to actually meet you. Of course, I deal with your sister, Aubrey, the athletic director of Oregon Davis, and I unfortunately have to work with your dad during the winter season.
It's the worst.
I hope he's listening. But anyway, it's a trip, though. I love working with him. Just a side note. But anyway, Lexi, I wanted to have you in to talk about, we've talked with all the other Stark County volleyball teams. I wanted to make sure we had Oregon Davis in, and just to talk about, shine a light on this program. I saw you last year. We weren't able to get the interview. I know you've got a lot of girls on this team, and probably several girls that actually are 2, maybe even 3 sport athletes. Who knows?
Of course.
But let's talk about this team. Let's give them their moment. Tell us who we need to know on this Lady Cat volleyball team.
Yeah, of course. We're very senior heavy. We have 4 seniors this year. So those seniors are Haley Simon, Reagan Danford, Maddie Wireman, and Alexis Pitts. All of them are huge leaders for us. They play pretty much the entire game. I've really challenged them this year to be very vocal. You need to be leading by example, not just walking in and doing the stuff that you're supposed to do every day, but also reaching out to those younger girls and setting an example for them. And they've took that and they've ran with it, and I couldn't be any happier with them.
Well, let's talk. Did you play volleyball?
I did.
So let's talk about your philosophy as a head coach. I'm sure it's a little different than playing.
Yes.
Talk about what that's like, the transition from playing to then being a coach.
Yeah, well, first off, a lot of people associate the last name Minix with basketball, so the rules are a little bit different. And I've been told to stay in the coach's box a few times.
Over them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not through it. But yeah, so that was a swing. But once I got that down, we're in a better state of mind. But the girls have been really awesome about bearing with me through everything. But I just challenge them every day to work their tail off. I walk in and I tell them always be where your feet are. Be present in the moment. Give your whole heart, mind, and body to what you're doing, whether that's with your family, whether that's in the gym, whether that's in the school, the classroom. And they do. And, I tell them all the time, there's a difference between scrappy and aggressive. Every opposing coach always tells us we're so scrappy. We get to things that, most people don't get to. But I have challenged them in these last few games to be aggressive. Go after the ball. Say it's yours. Know that you want the ball. You want to score. You have to have a positive mindset. You've always got to be tracking everything down and getting to it and working your tail off, and they do that really well. So high intensity, try to keep them up, try to keep them positive, and they're actually doing a very good job with that.
Do you have any seniors on this team?
Yeah, so I have those 4, and then we actually have a foreign exchange student from Germany who's a senior for us this year, so that's a fun little twist for them. They don't play organized sports in Germany, so when she came, she was,
Wow.
they don't play in school, so when she came, she was a little starstruck, I guess, but it's been pretty good, and I think the girls have really taken them under her wing and moved on with it, yeah.
Who's on the coaching staff with you?
Coaching staff. So I have Abby Carver, who used to play at OD. She was a really, really good back row player. She's been very good for the girls. She's a little softer spoken than I am, so sometimes I can't hear, so I have to yell what she's saying, but she does an amazing job. The girls respond to her really well. And then I have a part-time assistant, Jamie Herford. She's Jamie Moorfield now, but she comes in, the girls love her, and she was a setting person, so she helps out our setters and narrows it down for them and holds them to a higher standard.
Well, and I gotta bring this up too. You know, the first time I was here at WKVI, it was around 2014, and one of the first basketball games I got to watch was you. And every time you touched the ball that game, they were face guarding you and double teaming you. I forget who you guys were playing. Of course, you guys were able to still win the game, but then you go on to win a state championship, and you know, yeah, it's basketball, but when you're a state champion and you're a head coach of a program, I can only imagine that the girls know that. They see the banner in the gym, and they know that you're a state champion. First off, congratulations. That's got to feel great for you all these years later. Can't believe it's been going on 10 years. Can you believe that, Alvin?
I quit counting years.
It's not much fun.
Right, don't bring it up.
but, you know, I mean, you obviously hold yourself to that standard, and that's the kind of play you want to see out there. I'm sure you want greatness. So what's it like when you're telling these girls, you know, they know who you are? How's that relationship work?
So I appreciate the fact that I'm closer to their age, so they'll come talk to me about everything, which is super awesome. You know, you get to make an impact in their life outside of volleyball, outside of sports. And, you know, they text me like I'm their best friend. Hey, what are you doing today? Girls, it's not like that, but
right.
They
listen here.
Yeah, right.
Extra laps on Monday.
Let's hang out after practice.
Yeah, exactly. But they're all great kids, and I appreciate getting to know them on a deeper level, and I think that kind of connection gives them the ability to admit when they're wrong or come up to me and have no fault saying, like, I know I messed up there, help me do better. So they have a pretty open relationship with me and my assistant coach, Abby, and they're not scared to say what they're thinking, which is a good thing. But, you know, they know that I hold them to a higher standard, so if I have to get on them a little bit, they perk up.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah, they know when I mean business. But like I said, I just try to emphasize to them that I care about them more as kids and people than volleyball players or basketball players. And I really hope that means a lot to them moving on in life. And we're just trying to set them up for, you know, the future and being good people, not necessarily the best volleyball player to come out of the state of Indiana. But yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to do those things and we're going to work our tail off in doing it. But at the end of the day, I want you to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a good person and I know what I'm doing in my life. So
no matter what the sport is, there's life lessons. I always tell kids, if I see you 10 years down the road, I'm not going to ask how many touchdowns you scored or how many tackles you made. I'm going to ask, where are you at in life now? You know, 10 years from now, what are you doing? What are you contributing? You know, what is your life about? And what did you learn, you know, back in the day? Because there is, and unless you're an athlete, and sometimes you learn a lesson that you didn't even know you learned until 7 years later, and you're like, oh gosh, now I get it. You know, 7 years later, and I get it. You know, and then you want to call your coach and say, I got it. I got what you were talking about. Because so much of athletics is mental. You know, I mean, I know we say that. I know it's a cliche, and I don't like cliches, but it is. So much of it's mental. And the mental aspect of it can affect your physicalness. You know, because I've seen players that didn't have the physicality or didn't have the stature to play a position or do something that did it because they mentally overcame that handicap, as you might say, and it's huge. So yeah, just keeping them mentally prepared, keeping them in the game. And you know, my grandson started coaching football when he was 21, and I'm like, man, you're so close to the age of the players. Does it hurt? And he goes, no, I have a totally different relationship with them. And the other coaches are like, why are they coming to you all the time now? You know, so but you can relate better. And I think that's a plus for you. I really do.
Yeah, I think it really helps our relationship with all the girls on and off the court, even the younger ones. You know, for whatever reason, they think I'm scary. I don't get that. But now, as they get older...
You're a winner.
Yeah. No, as they get older, they're like, yeah, you're not scary at all. And I'm like, you should still be scared of me. But, no, I love it. They're awesome people.
Well, and let's ask you this question. What's your message to Bobcat Nation in hopes you can get some more people to come out and see these girls play?
Yeah, I would just say to Bobcat Nation, these girls are working their tail off every single day. I challenge them to get 1% better. You don't have to be better than the person next to you. You just have to be better than the person in the mirror. So as long as you're getting 1% better every single day and you're not staying the same or going backwards, that's what we need. And I think having a backing from a community that'll come out and support you when you're getting better, so it does get shown, is huge. So I think those girls would really appreciate it. We have 5 more regular season games. I think 4 of them are home. So as many people as we can get out there to just show the girls that we support them, that they're doing great things in life and they're becoming better people because of it, and just give them a little bit of support where it's due.
Well, when's the next match?
Our next home game is Monday. Yep, Monday.
So here in a couple days.
Yes.
Who you taking on?
We are taking Heritage Christian Dyer.
Right on. Well, go get them.
Yes.
And good luck. We appreciate you coming in and talking with us. A lot of people, football's happening now, but there's a lot of other sports going on in the fall. There's cross country, there's golf, there's volleyball, there's tennis, a lot going on in our area, and we appreciate you stopping by to talk to us about Oregon Davis Lady Cat Volleyball.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Go get them. That's head coach Lexi Minix of the Oregon Davis Lady Cats volleyball team. We're going to take a break and come back. Don't go anywhere. We've got Austin Foust on the line, head coach of the Culver Cavs. He's next. You're listening to KVB's WKVI.
Sweet release. So I said, please, let me talk these trees on Sunday's Eve.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Brems. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
Real magic is everywhere. It's in your mom's cooking, in 4-hour dinners with friends, in that first bite of something new, and in the fizz of a Coca-Cola. Now with so many options for less than $5, the Coca-Cola Value Collection will help you make the most out of every magic moment for so much less. Taste the magic for less with Coca-Cola.
Now let's return to more of the Saturday Sports Line with WKVI Sports Director Mitch Columbi.
As here's a snap from shotgun, handoff to Jack Rogers up the left side. He breaks away to the 50, now to the 40, now to the 35-30, to the 25-20, to the 15. Still on his feet. He's going to get a Culver Cavalier touchdown. Jack Rogers. And there's the play we were talking about earlier. These Cavs can pop off quick, and there's 6 fast ones for the Culver Cavs. Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line. Mitch Columbi along with Al Breyfogle. It's time to talk about those Culver Cavaliers. They came up short last night, unfortunately losing 45-14. But you just heard that play. You've heard a couple other plays throughout this broadcast. The Cavs can pop off real quick, and they've got some very good skill players, and I can only imagine that they definitely took some positives from last night's win. But let's go ahead and bring him in. Head coach of the Culver Cavs, Austin Foust. Good morning, Coach. Thank you for being here.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, let's dive right into it. Your overall opinion and thoughts from last night's matchup.
Yeah, obviously not the result we were hoping for. We knew Winamac was going to come out fired up, and they kind of jumped on us pretty quick in that first quarter. They kind of got away from us there a little bit, and I think we lost three starters to injuries in the first half. 2 in the first quarter, definitely alone, and then lost another backup to that. So so we had the first half of basically 4 starters out. So that kind of changed some plans and things we had to do. And but I thought our kids adjusted really well, didn't complain, and obviously heard that big run by Jack there for the touchdown, and then we kick off, and the first defensive play, freshman Sean Green, gets in the backfield, causes a fumble, and Ethan Binion picks it up, scoops and scores. So in a span of 30 seconds, I think it went from a 26-0 ball game to 26-14 with us having a little bit of momentum. So
you guys scored twice within like a minute and a half. It was that fast.
Yeah, so we did some good things, and our kids were really at halftime. It was probably the best energy attitude wise halftime. Really kind of all game. I think we had some guys that kind of leadership wise, we were kind of waiting to come, and I think showed up. I think Ethan Binion was one that he'll probably tell you too that maybe hasn't played the best first 5 games, and kind of we've been trying to work with them and get more out of them, and I think there's not much more we could have asked for him last night as far as what he gave us and leadership wise, and I think we found out that through some injuries that he's probably our new inside linebacker. I thought he played really well there. I guess there's a little bit of shining light in some dark times, but I'm really proud of our kids' kind of attitude right now and where it is, and kind of instead it's easy to obviously give up or kind of break apart, and I think we've kind of I think maybe more so done the opposite, kind of rallied together.
There was a moment last night, I want to say it was after one of the 2-point conversions you guys had made. You could see the energy on the sideline. You saw assistant coach Kling firing the boys up, and then they were jumping up and down. And I remember saying, that's the kind of energy we want to see from the Culver Cavaliers. It just seemed in that moment, particularly, you guys were one solid unit. And I think that's what you guys have been preaching in practice when I visit is we have to be together. We have to be a family. And in that moment, it just looked like you guys were there for each other. Yeah,
100%. I think probably the touchdown that Winamac scored before. I don't know if there was a safety. We had a bad snap on a punt. But if you kind of watch, we were slowly walking off the field, dejected, things like that. And defensively, I think we get a stop after that, and I think that's when Jack pops off the big run for a touchdown, and that it kind of changes things. And and that's what we're asking for is is just 11 guys giving max effort, and if we can do that, good things are going to happen. I think this was probably our first game where we had we had that we had everybody flying the ball. Now obviously, sadly, do you want to do that when you're down 5 starters and putting kids in different positions? No. And I think that's some of the things where it kind of really kind of bit us. Obviously, give credit to Winamac. They played really good football, and obviously made a quarterback change, and started Cash Rock, who obviously had played quarterback before last year. So it gave him a little bit of different skill sets, but I think the physicality that was up front was kind of a big factor, and we settled down a little bit in the second quarter. But again, when you're a 1A football team and you got 24 kids on the sidelines and you're going into halftime and you're down 4 starters, that's a little tough. But like we told our guys at the end of the game, we had to play some guys in different positions. If you would have saw Coach Kling's special teams chart, it was crossed out in black, and this guy here, just kind of looking, all right, who's standing on the sidelines that we can put in this spot. But our kids didn't complain one time. So that's a credit to them, and things that we talked about that we can just keep building on. As we go on through our season.
One thing I wanted to bring up, Coach, was you had a few injuries last night, several cramps. One of the injuries was one of the main players on that D-line, Theron Carrington. I hope all your guys are okay this morning.
Yeah, I think we're going to be okay on the bulk majority. I think, sadly, I think Drake Zorich, it looked to be probably a collarbone, so he's probably done for the year. That happened really, really early on in the game. I think 4th play of the game, which is, obviously terrible for him because, he was a freshman playing both ways for us and doing a lot of really good things for us. Hopefully Theron is back this week. We'll kind of see. And hopefully Tony Summers as well. And Shane Martin, I think he'll be okay. We had our share of injuries, I think, for the most part. Besides Drake, we're optimistic that, hopefully we have everybody for next Friday. But it's going to want to, be one of those. We'll see how the weekend goes. We'll see Monday and, kind of see who we got. And, but this is a chance too, like we told the other guys, for somebody else to step up. Sean Green is a kid that's, we've been playing him a little bit and things, but obviously some injuries to the D-line. He gets in there. I think, might have been his first actual play of the night. And, he comes straight to the backfield, makes a play on the quarterback running back that kind of screws up the mesh and causes a fumble. And, that leads to a scoop and score. So, we like our young kids, and we think, they can do some good things. It's just, when you're dealing with young kids, kind of getting, them in their head too of like, hey, I know you're a freshman, but, you got to expect to play, and there's no reason why you can't make plays out here.
Coach, Breyfogle here. I got a couple just points here. First off, did you look at the schedule before you accepted the job at Culver? I'm looking at this schedule here, Austin. I'm thinking, you know what, man, this is a tough schedule. This is not like something you start at a program, picking up with your program at that school. It's not something you just jump into that you're like, hey, yeah, we got a chance here these first 6 or 8 games. So tough schedule first. And secondly, what's been the biggest transition for you, coming from John Glenn to Culver? I mean, what did you have to change? Did you have to change any of your coaching techniques, or did you have more options, I guess, at Glenn than you do at Culver?
Yeah, obviously the first. Yeah, I mean, I knew the schedule. At HNAC, one of the things, obviously, that's good is just how competitive it is. I mean, look how many sectional titles, regionals, semi-state appearances, state finals,
right,
that this this conference has put out. So. I knew it was going to be tough and challenged, and obviously the competitor in me, looked at it as an opportunity and something you kind of look at. And, I'd say the biggest thing just coming from obviously John Glenn and Culver is just again 3A program, 1A program. So just obviously the number of kids,
right?
So we have a little bit. If you have a night like last night, you might have a little bit more bodies to throw on, but again, I mean, I think. And being the beauty of football, my eyes, life lessons and things. And, when you have kids that are playing 3 ways, special teams, offense, defense,
right,
and seeing kids, just giving everything they have, there's kind of a beauty into it. So that's I think kind of the purity of 1A football that to me I think makes it kind of special. Obviously being a Rochester guy. But having most of my family from Winamac, my other family from Culver, I've watched a lot of 1A football games, and that's always kind of the thing that stuck out is just the guys that I remember playing on those teams and never coming off the field and making plays. That's kind of to me the beauty of 1A football.
Yeah, I agree, and it's when I did the Winamac Knox game with Mitch for a quarter, and I think my first comment was looking at the rosters, Winamac had 20-some kids on the roster. Knox had the upper 30s. I'm like, 5 years ago, Winamac had 40 kids. Knox had like 60 or 65. And it's just like, where are the kids at? And what I feel, of course, I've been totally out of coaching now for like 4 or 5 years, but I've been following my grandson. And it seems like you don't get kids that are satisfied with being part of the program. It's like, it's a team concept thing. It's a life learning lesson because you're not always going to be the star. There's going to be things you have to do, positions you have to play in football that, as you're growing up in life, maybe a job you don't have to do, you don't like to do. But it just seems like the participation is down. I mean, obviously it is. The numbers are there. I'm not making it up. But it's just, I just wish the kids would get back out and understand what sports mean as far as what you're going to be doing down the road in life. And I just think that families, parents, or whatever have lost focus on what can help develop these kids for farther down the road.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's, became, in our society now a lot easier to do other things. And football is one of those sports, and, football and private wrestling are those 2 sports where, it's hard. it's not always fun. Fun part of it is when you win games and playing well and things. And but obviously, again, I think football teaches maybe more life lessons than any other sport. That's why I coach football. Where it's you're not doing it on your own. I mean, if you think about it in life, and we tell our kids, nobody can go through life alone. I mean, that's why you have your families. That's why you have your significant others and your siblings. And that's what makes football so great. You can't. Very rarely. I mean, look at teams that that have D1 talent and things like that, and one guy doesn't go out and win a game. You need the 10 other guys. I mean, that's what makes it. I think so much special and things, and that's a lot of it in life. And you're trying to teach kids, and you're going to go through adversity. What's I tell the kids, death, taxes, adversity. I mean, those are things are going to happen, and how do you handle it? And I've been really proud and impressed with the way our kids were. I was a little worried. Obviously, you're playing an undefeated or a team that hasn't won, and it's different than playing a team that's undefeated. And how would we handle Winamac kind of smacking us in the mouth and getting up? And I thought we responded well. I thought our halftime was really well. I thought our kids came up fired up, and I thought we played hard all night long. So I'm excited for what we got coming forward. And like we tell our kids, the one good thing about Indiana football, there's 9 preseason games.
Exactly.
So as long as we're playing our best, football by week 10, that's where we want to be, just improving every day.
Well, you think football is tough. I grew up in the region, so after I graduated, I went to the steel mill, and I thought practice in the Dust Bowl at Hobart with no water to drink, because they didn't let you drink water back then, and them jamming them salt tablets down your throat and choking on them. I thought that was tough. And then I get a job at U.S. Steel, and they put me in a hole next to 2,200 degrees hunks of steel, and I'm like, God, I wish I was back in the Dust Bowl practicing football again, Because it is, you think you get smacked in the teeth in high school and in sports, that's life, man. And you gotta gut it out, and you gotta, like you said, Austin, you gotta get your attitude adjusted and just give it your best shot. And I tell people all the time, I say, who you have to please? The guy that you see in the mirror every morning. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the person that you need to be, and that's the person you need to.
Most hardest to impress, too.
Yeah, it is. It surely is. So, Austin, man, wish you luck. I think you're on the right track. I'm excited for you guys over there, and get a couple wins, get the participation, get everybody behind you, and I know your ability. I followed you as a coach because I do know your family. So I think you'll be fine.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate all the support you give me, throughout the years. So
okay.
But yeah, that's one of the biggest things. I think football, like we try to tell kids, the confidence comes from, you doing something. You know what I mean? Like I still, Coach, I was lucky enough. Coach Danner was my defense coordinator at Rochester, and probably 2 of the hardest days I had in football, came because of him, and I still use that today. Hey, I was able to get through that, so I can do this, that kind of thing. And like I said, we got some really good kids at Culver, and we got some young kids, and I think they see that. And that was some of the comments that we kind of made as a coaching staff. If we have some guys stick with it and we get in the weight room, we have ability in a couple of years to be pretty good.
There you go.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. It means so much. Thanks so much for letting us call you this morning, and good luck next week on the road against the Caston Comets.
Yeah, hey, appreciate everything you guys do for us. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Al.
All right.
No problem. Appreciate that. Hey, that's head coach Austin Foust of the Culver Cavaliers here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a quick break and come back. Time to talk about the South Central Satellites with head coach Buzz Schoff. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Here's from shotgun Jonas McEwen. They're going for 2, trying to redeem themselves from the last time. Takes the snap, hands off. This is Jack Rogers up the left side, breaks a tackle, fighting his way forward for the 2-point conversion, and he gets it. Jack Rogers. And you see the Cavs sideline is pumped up after that one. That's the kind of energy we want to see from them, Chris.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air air conditioning help you take control of your comfort. Listen for more insight in local high school sports on the Saturday Sports Line. Here's your sports director, Mitch Columbi.
Hey, thanks, John. We are back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the Saturday Sports Line. Mitch Columbi along with guest co-host Al Breyfogle this morning. We're talking about the South Central Satellites with head coach Buzz Schoff. It didn't go the Satellites' way last night. Tough loss, 56-24, but hadn't played the Blue Jays in a few years. You go into Liberty Field on homecoming, and you're able to get pretty close in the first quarter. You know, you're within 2 points there. We were getting the score updates, and then we heard from Brett Lambert in the first hour. He was impressed by your athletes. You know, what did I just say? Athletes. Boy, it's hard. It's off the dome. I'm trying to figure this out. But he said, you know, Zach Hanshar, very impressive player, as well as Aaron Hogan. Hey, we've been talking about that each weekend. Talk about what you saw from your players on the field. I know it didn't end the way that you guys had hoped to, but there's got to be something you can take away in a good way.
Well, you know, you go into the game and going into a North Judson game, everybody knows the history behind North Judson. Everybody knows they're a ranked team. Everybody knows that they're big and strong, and everybody hears all the rumors that go around North Judson, and you just hope you're not beat on Monday.
Right.
Let's see what happens on Friday.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. And our kids came out, and you really couldn't get a feel for it because it wasn't, we weren't overly hyped, but we weren't just kind of dragging either. Just the South Central way. Don't try to figure them out, just go with them. And you come out and North Judson takes the ball on the coin flip, which is automatically a red flag to a head coach. Like, all right. All right. So they think this is going to be over at halftime, and truthfully, it kind of was. But but that's a little bit in your back of your mind. It's like, okay, it's a little mindset game that you put in your own head. Of all right, they don't respect you at all. So they take the ball, they drive down, and they score, and okay, we knew that they had a good offense. We knew that going into it. We gotta match their physicality up front. We got to be able to make tackles. And we go down and we score. Okay, well, and we missed the 2-point conversion just because we don't have a kicker. So we're down 7-6, and then they get the ball back. They go down and they score again. Okay, it's 14-6. We go down, we score again. It's 14-12. Well, that ends the first quarter. Well, in my mind, it's like, okay,
we're playing with them.
This is where we want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
This is down by 2 in the first quarter of this game. We're okay. And then kind of the turning point was on the next drive. We end up throwing a pick six. They get the ball back after that. They drive down and score. They go up 21-12, and then we end up throwing a pick six. They go up 28-12. That was kind of the start of everything kind of falling to the wayside. But then, at the end of the second quarter, we pin them back deep. We end up punting. We pin them back deep. And, if we can just keep them out of the end zone here and go into halftime, we'd be down 35-12. We get the ball coming out. Who knows what's going to happen? 2 plays later, they're in the end zone. Well, we just can't do that. You can't do that. That puts them up 49. That puts them up 49-12. Now we got a running clock at halftime. And I just told our kids, I said, listen, we're going to turn this into a 2-minute offensive drill this whole second half and just see if it's possible to win a football game with a running clock in the second half. It's very, you got the clock going against you. It never stops. You can't stop it. We get the ball, we score, and the South Central way is always been, don't ever get comfortable. I don't ever want a head coach or a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator on the other sideline to just say, well, we got this one. I need you to coach your kids for 48 minutes because my kids are going to come at you.
Right.
And we always do that. And I know the Judson coaches, they're going to do that anyway. It's not like they were freaking out. They knew how to coach their kids, and they did. But when you got a 49-12 at halftime football game, and your number 2s don't come in until 4 minutes into the fourth quarter, we're on your radar.
Right.
So our kids' effort last night was great. They made plays when we made mistakes, and we just made too many mistakes.
You got any questions, Al?
Yeah, I'm looking at your schedule here, and looks like the last half of the season you're playing to region teams. And so is that hard to prepare for? You know, I mean, you got Lake Station, River Forest, Whiting. Are those teams hard to prepare for because they're not local teams? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I know you get game films. I know you see things, but it's a little bit different brand of football up there. I don't think is as exaggerated as it used to be. You know, because it used to be, you know, when you playing teams from the region, you know, they got clubs in their socks and, you know, everything else. So, but is it hard to prepare for those type of teams?
So the only difference between preparing for those teams is all you got is what you got on film. Mm-hmm. That's all you know. That's all you see. You don't hear any rumors of, oh, they got this kid that can bench press 400 pounds. They got this kid who runs a 4.40. You don't hear any of those things. So there's nothing psychologically in the back of your head like, all right, we got to do something to stop that kid. Mm-hmm. It's just what you see on film, and you get the last two games, and maybe they play two teams that they're either severely outmatched by or they outmatch, and you don't really get a true taste of who the team is. And so that's really the only big difference. As far as preparation goes, you know, our kids take every game like it's their last game. Our kids take every game like that you know, this is the Super Bowl. So our focus is always there. It doesn't matter who we're playing. You know, we can play North Judson one week and then go to Lake Station the next week and have the exact same focus and have the exact same mentality going into the game. And that's all you really can ask from your kids. You know, don't take anything lightly. You know, I was hesitant this morning telling them that, you know, playing Lake Station getting beat last night by Bishop Knoll 49-0. Well, we beat Bishop Knoll last week 50-22.
Right,
so
right.
You kind of, you know, you don't want kids doing math because they ain't good at it anyway. But, you know, you look at that and it's like, well, that doesn't mean that we got Monday off, fellas. Like, that doesn't mean that we're just going to show up on Friday
and win.
And they're going to hand us the win. You know, they got some kids that are going to play some football too. And if you don't tackle, if you don't block, then who knows what's going to happen. And you should win the game, but.
And every coach knows what only game film brings you.
Exactly.
You know, you can't tell speed. There's not a lot you can see. I mean, game films, you can see their sets and whatever. But, I mean, sometimes a kid that on film looks like he's a decent runner, then you go play him and you're like, where'd that kid come from? Is that the same number 22 I saw on film? You know, so, but it is a challenge for coaching staff. But, you know, your kids, you know, going back, I mean, I go back to when Karras was coaching there, and we went up, played South Central, and they made us walk through some tunnel full of water barefooted to the locker room, and there was things hanging. Oh yeah, it's a long story, but anyhow,
what year was this?
It was Karras. Just I don't know how many years ago.
It was 2010.
Yeah, it was a few years ago, but it was a little bizarre. And he was kind of an excitable coach, you could say. I remember him running in front of our crowd and screaming, "This is my house! This is my house!" And so he was entertaining, and they were good. But you guys are always, to me, even looking at the score, South Central football has always been competitive. It's always had that mentality, like you're saying. We're just going to keep trying. We're not going to lay down, and you're going to walk over us. We're just going to keep hitting, keep tackling, keep blocking, and do the best we can do.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're not getting kids to the NFL. That's not our pipeline. We're getting kids out in the field. We're getting kids out in the factories. That's what we're doing. And at some point, your back's going to be against the wall, and you're just not going to want to do it.
Yep. And this teaches you too.
And how are you going to respond to that? Yep. Well, this is how you respond to it. And that's our goal. We'd like to win more football games, absolutely. We 100% would. But when I look at our community and I look at the kids that I have coached over the past 7 years, and I look what they're doing for our community, well, I'll take that over Friday night victories any day of the week.
Definitely. Yeah, we've talked about that a couple times, different times this morning about you know, what are you going to give to the community? What are you going to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to be a professional you're not even going to be a college football player probably. Most of our kids in this area, they put the pads on the last night that they put them on, and that's it. They don't put them on again.
Right.
So what can you teach them for life skills, for survival skills, or whatever it may be, to get them through life, because they're not going to be football players.
Exactly. And you know, and that goes with everything. We are learning life lessons in everything you do. The medium in which I teach you may be different. You know, the volleyball coach is teaching you life lessons too. The basketball coach is teaching you life lessons. I'm just teaching it through football because I just believe that football is most relatable to life.
Right.
You know, there's multiple things that I've learned on a football field that I thought there's no way I need to ever do that again. And then you look at yourself sitting at your job and you're like, man, I learned that when I was 16 years old.
Exactly.
Now I know why he was yelling at me. Well, Coach, how's the health of your ball club right now?
Yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's good. We had, you know, throughout the whole season, everybody's been, you know, pretty good. Just a little bangs and bumps here and there. Some strange injuries for some a few freshman kids. Just we had 2 kids get hurt in pregame so far this year. Just, you know, one kid dove for a ball and ended up dislocating his knee.
Oh,
which, you know, that happened last week and or 2 weeks ago against Bishop Knoll. We had a kid break his collarbone against. I think that was week 3, maybe. You know, just some weird things that, you know, our motto is it only happens. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen to us, right? So, you know, you just go with it, and
well.
you know, and,
sure.
and just like Austin was just saying, you know, when one kid goes down, like it's just a domino effect, and it throws everything off. You know, just like those injuries. You know, it's 2 freshman kids. You know, maybe they're not main contributors. You know, our offense and defense are still okay, but you know, he's on the kickoff team, he's on the kickoff return team, he's on the punt team, and the whole game, whenever those special teams go out there,
you're hollering for somebody.
Yep. Oh, that's right. He broke his collarbone. You know, so then you just, you know, and you know, you have a paper, but you always forget it's in your back pocket.
Right.
That tells you who the next kid is, but you just grab the next kid who you think can play the part, and you say, go there. They'll tell you what to do when you get out there. And you know, luckily, you know, our kids are savvy enough to just say, well, I'm going to play football. It's okay.
Right. That's all I used to hang by the coaches. If we were on defense, I'd hang by the defensive coordinator if I wasn't on the field, because if they screamed I need a body, man, I put my body in their hand. They didn't have to grab me.
Oh, I heard stories about you on the sideline last night. Chad Watts, the PA announcer, he said, oh, I remember Al Breyfogle. He was on the sideline. He'd turn around and wave his arms to get Warrior Nation on their feet, getting going.
He didn't tell you about the time I fell off the bench, did he?
No, he didn't tell me that.
Okay, I won't tell you then. That didn't really happen.
Well, Coach, you've got 2 home games in a row here for week 7 and 8, and then week 9 you're on the road. You got Lake Station, a conference foe, and then River Forest, another conference foe. What do you know about Lake Station, and what do you hope to see from your satellites next Friday?
You know, so Lake Station's always a hard team to figure out. You know, You look at kind of their past schedule, what they've done so far this season, and there's some lopsided losses that they got. That's like what happened there, and then there's really tight wins that they have. So it's like, what team are we gonna get? And you know, we're South Central, so we're gonna get your best.
Yeah.
That, you know, if you got a kid hurt, he's gonna come back for our game. Like
right.
that's just how it works. But you know, it's a game that we have to just execute from the get-go and just don't worry about what they're going to do. You know, it's just one of those games where if you play your best, then they're just in your way. You know, so the focus has to be, you know, don't focus on what they've done so far this season. Focus on what we're going to do on Friday night. You know, again, it's a conference game. You know, whatever, the GSSC is what it is. But you know, if we beat Lake Station here, we come. River Forest comes to our place, you know, maybe Boone Grove gets knocked off by somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
And you never know, you know, how the conference ends up. So, you know, it's just our job at this point, just do your part and just let everything fall where it needs to fall. So I think looking at the end of our schedule, I think we have 3 very winnable games going into the tournament, having a 3-game winning streak. You know, it's just, you know, one step above what it could be. You know, if you go out and you lay an egg and you got a battle for the next 3 weeks, well, now sectionals aren't so pretty anymore. You know, depending on where the draw lies, which. You know, so we just got to play our best football the next 3 weeks, which I think we're headed in the right direction. I mean, last night we had some great things, and we had some bonehead things. You know, we got 3 weeks to get rid of the boneheaded things. You know, I mean, I can't say enough about our kids. You went to North Judson and you ended up losing 56-24, but you still put up 24 points against North Judson. So you're doing something right.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in, and it means a lot to me. Each week we get a chance to talk to you, and good luck next week against Lake Station for your home game.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
That's head coach Buzz Schoff of the South Central Satellites here on the Saturday Sports Line. We've got the Where Are They Now segment coming your way. That's with Harold Welter. You know him well. You're listening to KVB's WKVI. So Kashroff's going to take this under center. Tosses out. This is a wide open Jaden Jones, and he is going to get the touchdown. It's another Winamac Warrior touchdown. Jaden Jones, as that makes the score 32-14 with 1:17 to go here in the first half.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
It's time now for Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of local high school sports coverage on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Today's program is brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox. Now let's meet one of the local high school sports figures from more than 50 years of WKVI sports and find out where are they now.
As we look back on more than 50 years of broadcasting high school sports of the Kankakee Valley here on WKVI, our guest is Brian Koch, a 1986 graduate of North Judson-San Pierre High School, and we talked with Brian. This conversation took place more than 3 years ago, but we thought it was worth hearing again here in the middle of football season because he was, of course, a big star at North Judson-San Pierre High School in football and later on at Indiana University as well. And we call this segment Where Are They Now? So, Brian, where are you now and what are you doing?
I'm down in Orlando, Florida these days, where my family and I are enjoying the sunshine after leaving the lovely state of Indiana. I'm currently the Chief Information Officer at Diamond Resort.
So you've made a career out of vacationing? Is that what you're saying?
I'm absolutely making a career out of vacationing. You can make a career out of whatever you want.
Brian, you had a great high school career and went on to play at the collegiate level, and you were on that state runner-up football team back in '84 and a sectional championship basketball team in your senior year. Going back over all the games you played in high school, what game stands out the most to you?
I think, as most athletes will probably tell you, not all the victories that stand out. It's the heartbreaking losses as a teenager that stand out most, right? So, that junior year when the North Judson Blue Jays were on a undefeated run and scoreless in football and finally got scored upon by South Central. That moment stands out, and then, of course, running into Bud Wright and the Sheridan, dynasty down there and getting beat in the state championship stand out. So, I think there are a lot of great victories, and you remember all those celebrations and singing with your teammates and celebrating, but sometimes those lessons you learn by coming up short stand out more than anything else.
I want to ask you a question I've been dying to ask you for 30-some years now. You came out to play basketball your senior year, and I always heard the rumor that Kirk Manns recruited you because he needed someone to set picks for him. Is that right?
In high school, I think your teammates and your friends there mean more to you sometimes than anything else in the world, and the camaraderie you have with that group of guys or gals, depends on what sport you're in, is sort of where your heart lies. So, yeah, there's no doubt that I wanted to hang out with the boys and catch a few rebounds, set a few picks, and maybe have some fun playing basketball. Certainly what Kirk and Dave Haw and I talked about and enjoyed a lot that year.
For a small school like North Judson, the two guys you mentioned and you, 3 D1 athletes playing at North Judson-San Pierre High School was a pretty exceptional time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I was lucky lucky enough to run into two superior athletes. I just happened to be gifted by God with some physical size, but those were two incredible athletes that went on to have stellar collegiate careers and be successful down the road in other endeavors as well. So, yeah, we were blessed to come together and have a great team, great coaching, Dave McCullough on the basketball side and Russ Radtke, the legend, on the football side. So I think that was a pretty unique recipe for a small community.
Well, you went on and played football at the Big Ten level. What was the biggest adjustment you had to make from playing high school football at North Judson to playing at Indiana University?
You know, I think when you grow up in a small community, it's that analogy of a big fish in a small pond, and you get to that next level and you run into what are really world-class athletes. You know, as a kid, you watch those guys play on Saturday and Sundays in the collegiate and the NFL ranks, and when you get to that next level, the talent goes up, the competition goes up, and suddenly, instead of being the best in the room, you have to learn some patience and some persistence and work your way back up to the top of the totem pole again. So there was just a lot of folks, and I think one of the things I remember most about that time is being part of a system, right? I think I was blessed to have some folks who coached us that believed that the power was in the team and the system, and how a group of guys could come together and not only have some fun but work really hard and enjoy each other and functioning as a team achieve greatness. And folks that maybe had some of their best days ever in their high school days, the folks that years later maybe are just sort of going through life, and we look back at those times of life as the best times of our life.
Growing up there in North Judson, Brian, and as you played in high school, who were some of the people who were like your role models or who helped you be so successful in athletics?
When it comes to the athletic side, I think the head coaches sort of stand out in your mind, but I think some of the lesser known folks, the position coaches, for me, Hank Orkus, who kind of coached our defense back in the day and took care of the linemen, was special to me. But I think in general, in a small town, it's about your family and your parents. And I think back when you raise your own kids and get on the grandkid stage, right? You remember all those days of your parents driving you, getting up early, driving you to and from all the practices and all the games. And I think I have a lot of respect for those. Not that they coached you, but the level of effort that it takes from parents to support their kids in high school athletics, because there's a lot of hours that are thankless there, and a lot of snacks, and a lot of effort that goes in from a family to support a kid to play high school sports.
We're talking with Brian Koch, a 1986 graduate of North Judson-San Pierre High School. This was the conversation we had with him about 3 years ago, and we'll be back to continue our conversation after this timeout.
Need a game plan that has your day covered from tip-off to the buzzer? Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox has you covered. Whether you like to start out with a caffeinated full-court press or control the tempo with a Subway breakfast flatbread, Osborne's Mini Mart has what you need. Don't get trapped in the corner with an empty stomach. Call a quick timeout and get 2 hot dogs. Visit Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox at the corner of US 35 and Highway 8 East to guarantee you win the day.
Our guest is Brian Koch, a 1986 graduate of North Judson-San Pierre High School. And Brian, you've had a lot of success in life at the collegiate level and professionally. What did you gain from being a high school athlete that has helped you in life?
Wow, there are so many things that come out of sports. I think back, first and foremost, the thing that stands out is simply having fun, right? I think we get into sports for love of the game, but after that, I think we learn sort of that work hard and play hard kind of analogy comes together that we talk so much about in the business world. Is how do you motivate people to show up every day, do their job, work hard, and be successful? And frankly, I tie a lot of that back to the things I learned back in childhood and team sports.
If you were to give some advice to young athletes who are coming up who would like to have the kind of athletic and professional success that you've had, what advice would you have for those young people?
Do what you love. Find some folks you enjoy. Invest your time and energy wisely. and follow your passion.
Brian, we want to thank you for joining us, and thank you for all of those exciting moments of sports back in the mid-'80s.
Thanks, Harold. Thanks for all you do for the local community as well.
Our guest has been Brian Koch, a 1986 graduate of North Judson-San Pierre High School, here on the Where Are They Now segment. Join us again next week on the Saturday Sports Line for Where Are They Now?
Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of high school sports coverage on WKVI has been brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox.
Join us each Saturday morning on WKVI for the Saturday Sports Line and worldwide on WKVI.com.
Time now for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given in memory of Tyler Roth, a 2001 graduate of Winamac High School who died in an auto accident 1 week after his high school graduation. His legacy of hard work, outstanding citizenship, artistic success, and super athletic performance lives on with this award, given every week to outstanding student athletes from the 8 schools in the Kankakee Valley. Today's award is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac, and we'll tell you who's earned the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week after this word from Web Printing.
Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack and signs of all kinds in Winamac is where all of your printing needs can be met. Whether it's paper, garments, or signs, Web Printing is your full-service printing solution. So if you're in need of embroidered or screen-printed garments, tickets or programs for your event, or documents for your business, Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack is the place to go. For the quickest service, best prices, and best quality, it's Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac.
Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week for this week is Jerrod J.T. Stout, a member of the boys soccer team at Oregon Davis High School. JT is having an amazing season for the Bobcats. He had back-to-back shutout performances last week, racking in 24 total saves between those 2 matches, beating Community Baptist 2-0, and a mercy ruling against River Forest, winning 9-0. He is currently the number 4 overall ranked goalkeeper in the entire state of Indiana. JT is the son of Missy Stout, as we congratulate JT Stout of Oregon Davis High School, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. JT will receive a certificate, a history of the award, and a t-shirt commemorating his achievement, and will also be a future guest on the Saturday Sports Line. He will be eligible for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Year award later this spring, which carries with it a plaque and a college scholarship, compliments of WKVI and the family of Tyler Roth. The Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac. I'll make sure to get that interview with Mr. Stout this week, as that is going to wrap things up for us. Another Saturday Sports Line in the books. Man, we are continuing on, and the tradition is here. Hey, if you're interested in purchasing today's broadcast or any game that we have had in the past, contact me by email. It's Mitch at WKVI.com. We also invite you to always follow us on social media, on Instagram at WKVI Sports, on X, formerly Twitter at KVB Sports, and on Facebook at Sports to the Max for all Kankakee Valley Broadcasting sports content. Hope you enjoyed the show. We appreciate you joining us each weekend. I'm going to get on out of here and enjoy my weekend. You make sure to do the same. Until next week, keep up to date on the sports checks. We'll get you there for our big-time rivalry matchup between the West Central Trojans and the Winamac Warriors. Boy, we are so excited about that. Until Monday, take care. I'm Mitch Columbi. The tradition continues.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI, you've been listening to the Saturday Sports Line with Sports Director Mitch Columbi and Sports Analyst Chris McGowan.